How many uses does a $4 box of borax have in your deer hunting operation before you even open the first bag of commercial mineral? 17, I counted. Over 5 seasons of testing, borrowing tricks from old-timers, taxidermists, food plot consultants, and one retired entomologist who hunts public land in South Georgia, I have documented 17 distinct applications for 20 Mule Team borax in deer hunting. 17 jobs from a single box that costs less than the gas station coffee you drank on the way to the pro shop to buy products that do the same thing for 10 to 30 times more money. Some of these applications are mineral-based, some are scent-based, some are gear maintenance, some are habitat manipulation. And one of them, number 17, is the reason the commercial mineral companies hope you never flip this particular box over and read the ingredient list on the products they sell for $30 a bag. I have covered borax on this channel before, the stump trick, the weed spray, the grandfather's secrets list. But I have never put all 17 applications in one video because I did not realize how many there were until I sat down with my notebook last February and counted every borax-related entry from the last 5 years. Stay until the end because number 14 is a borax and molasses paste that a guide in Nee, Tennessee described as the most effective pre-rut caloric attractant he has ever used, and it costs roughly 40 cents per application. Before you try any attractant or mineral application, check your state wildlife agency website. Borax deposited in the soil with the intent of attracting deer can be classified as baiting in states with strict definitions. The laundry, gear, and preservation applications on this list are legal everywhere. The soil and mineral applications depend on your state. 5 minutes of research protects your tag. Number 1. The sugar shift catalyst. 1 tablespoon of borax dissolved in a gallon of water sprayed on broadleaf weeds around your stand activates phloem sugar transport in boron-deficient plants. The boron enables the loading mechanism that moves sucrose from leaves into the plant's circulatory system, increasing leaf sugar concentration by 2 to 4 Brix points within 10 to 14 days. Deer browse the treated plants preferentially because they taste sweeter. Same technique from the borax weeds video, but it bears repeating because it is the foundation of 4 other applications on this list. Cost is roughly 15 cents. A bottle of Conquest Scents Evercalm at $18 attracts deer to a spot. The borax spray makes the deer's own food source the attractant. Different mechanism, lower cost, longer duration. Number 2, the ionic flare. When borax dissolves in soil moisture, it dissociates into sodium ions and borate ions. The borate ions create a localized mineral signature in the soil solution that deer detect through direct tongue contact, and based on behavioral research from Penn State's Department of Animal Science, potentially through the vomeronasal organ, which is a secondary scent processing organ in the roof of the deer's mouth that detects non-volatile chemical signals in liquids. A treated soil patch produces a chemical beacon that passing deer investigate and return to, because the borate ion concentration is distinct from the surrounding untreated soil. It is a mineral signal that does not exist naturally in that location, which triggers the curiosity investigation return cycle that makes mineral sites work. Number 3, the $1 scent neutralizer for hunting clothes. Add half a cup of borax to your washing machine with unscented detergent when you wash your hunting clothes. Borax is sodium tetraborate, a mild alkaline salt that raises the washwater pH to roughly 9.0, which accelerates the oxidation of organic odor compounds, specifically the thiol and carboxylic acid molecules that make up human body odor. A $4 box of borax provides roughly 16 wash loads of scent elimination. A bottle of Smoky's Deer Lure scent-free laundry detergent costs $12 for 8 loads, same oxidative chemistry. Half the cost per load. My wife uses the same box of borax for the household laundry, which means my hunting clothes budget subsidizes her towel situation. She has not complained. I ran a simple test 2 seasons ago where I washed 1 set of hunting clothes with borax and unscented detergent and another identical set with a $12 bottle of commercial scent-free hunting laundry soap. I wore each set on alternating sits from the same stand on a property in South Georgia, sandy red clay ridges with planted pine and hardwood creek bottoms. Over 8 sits per set, the borax-washed clothes produced 1 alert response from deer inside 40 yards. The commercial soap clothes produced 3 alert responses, same stand, same entry, same wind conditions matched by day. The borax performed equal to or better than the commercial product at roughly 1/8 the cost per load. And my towels are softer. Number 4, the ant-proof stand treatment. Sprinkle a thin line of dry borax powder around the base of your tree stand tree and along the climbing stick contact points. Boric acid, which forms when borax contacts moisture on insect exoskeletons, disrupts the lipid layer on the insect's cuticle and causes dehydration. Ants, spiders, and beetles avoid the treated surface. The borax has no detectable scent to deer because it is a mineral salt with near-zero vapor pressure at ambient temperatures, meaning it does not volatilize into the air the way chemical insect repellents like DEET do. DEET-based bug sprays produce a chemical scent that deer associate with human presence. Borax produces no airborne scent. Your stand stays bug-free without advertising your location to every deer within 50 yards. I learned this after a September bow sit on a property in South Georgia, where fire ants climbed my climbing sticks and were inside my pant legs before I reached stand height. I spent 20 minutes dealing with ants instead of hunting. The next morning I sprinkled borax around the base of the tree and along the first 3 sticks. 0 ants, 0 spiders. 0 distractions. The borax was still effective 3 weeks later when I returned for my next sit because it had not rained. Rain dissolves the borax line and you need to reapply. Dry weather, 1 application lasts a month. Wet weather, reapply after every rain event. Number 5, the velvet antler preservative. Dust a fresh velvet antler with borax powder and place it in a dry, ventilated space. The borax absorbs moisture from the velvet tissue and creates an alkaline surface environment that inhibits bacterial growth, preventing the decomposition and odor that untreated velvet produces within 48 hours in warm conditions. A taxidermist in South Georgia who specializes in velvet mounts told me he has used nothing but borax for velvet preservation since 1998 because it is cheaper, simpler, and more reliable than the commercial freeze-dry compounds that cost $15 to $25 per application. His borax cost per antler is roughly 30 cents. He showed me a velvet 8-point mount he preserved entirely with borax in 2003 that still looks like the day it was hung. 20 years on the wall, 30 cents worth of borax. The commercial velvet preservation kits run $15 to $25, and he said the results are identical. His exact words were that the borax does the same thing the expensive stuff does because the expensive stuff's borax with a label. Quick pause here. Everything I just walked through, and 100 more tricks like it, is sitting inside the Buck Hunter's Bible 2026 edition. 280 pages of the stuff that actually puts deer on the ground. And right now, if you grab it, I am throwing in the 30-day opening day roadmap completely free. That is a 60-page day-by-day preseason plan that walks you from the first scout to opening morning, so you start this season ahead of every other hunter in the woods. Link in the description, QR code on screen. This is the season you stop guessing. Number 6, the soil sweetener for micro-mineral patches. Spread 2 cups of borax over a 2x2 foot patch of exposed soil, roughly the size of a card table, and rake it into the top inch. In acidic forest soils below pH 5.5, the sodium in borax acts as a mild pH buffer that raises the immediate soil surface toward neutral, similar to the dolomitic lime effect from the lime video but at a smaller scale and shorter duration. The treated patch becomes a micromineral lick that deer investigate and paw at because the soil chemistry at that point is distinct from the surrounding acidic floor. I ran 6 of these micro patches on a lease in Eddy, Tennessee, steep mountain hollows in the Unicoi County Appalachians, and 4 of the 6 showed deer digging activity within 3 weeks on Primo cellular cameras. The 2 that showed no activity were both on south-facing slopes where the borax dried out and crusted before it dissolved into the soil. North side, shaded, moist, same rule as every mineral application on this channel. The 4 patches that worked were all within 15 yards of known travel corridors, roughly the distance across a 2-car garage, and within 30 yards of water. The deer were already passing nearby. The micropatch just gave them a reason to stop and investigate. I made the mistake on my first attempt of placing a patch in the middle of open timber with no existing deer sign and got 0 response for a month. Same lesson from every attractant video. You cannot create deer traffic from nothing. You redirect existing traffic to a specific point. The borax patch is the redirect. The existing trail is the traffic. Number 7, the corn freshener for feeders. 1 tablespoon of borax mixed into a 5-gallon bucket of whole corn before filling your feeder inhibits Aspergillus mold growth by disrupting the fungal cell membrane. Same oxidative mechanism from the hydrogen peroxide video, but through a different chemical pathway. Moldy corn produces mycotoxin odors that deer detect and avoid. Fresh corn with a trace of borax stays mold-free roughly 3 times longer than untreated corn in humid conditions. Check your state regulations because adding any substance to corn can reclassify it as a manufactured attractant. Number 8, the field taxidermy preservative. If you harvest a deer in warm weather and need to transport the cape, which is the skin and hair from the head and neck that gets mounted on the wall, sprinkle borax generously on the flesh side of the cape. The borax draws moisture out of the tissue through osmotic action, the same principle that makes salt cure meat, and creates a pH environment that bacteria cannot thrive in. A cape treated with borax in the field survives 24 to 48 hours in 70-degree temperatures without slipping, which is when the hair falls out of the skin due to bacterial degradation of the hair follicle attachment. An untreated cape starts slipping in 8 to 12 hours at the same temperature. The difference is the borax. Roughly 50 cents worth of powder versus a $400 cape replacement from the taxidermist because you waited too long to get it to the freezer. Number 9, the salinity multiplier. Mix 1 part borax with 3 parts coarse livestock salt and place it at a mineral site. The borax increases the perceived mineral complexity of the salt blend because the borate ions add a chemical dimension that pure sodium chloride does not have. A Primo cellular camera on a borax salt site in western South Dakota, open prairie on the Black Hills fringe with alkaline clay soil, showed 26 visits per 3-week cycle versus 11 visits for a salt-only site 60 yards away, roughly the distance across a high school gymnasium. Same deer herd, same 3-week window. The borax salt blend pulled more than double the traffic of salt alone. I want to be careful with that number because the western SD alkaline soil may have responded differently to the boron addition than an acidic eastern soil would. In alkaline conditions, the borate ions remain more soluble and more available at the surface. In acidic eastern soils, the response might be different. I have not tested the borax salt blend on acidic ground as a standalone without the lime treatment, so I cannot confirm whether the doubling effect holds across soil types. Run your own camera, 3 weeks, let the data tell the story. Number 10. The pathogen shield for high-traffic mineral sites. Borax at concentrations above 2% in soil inhibits the growth of Fusobacterium necrophorum, the primary bacterial pathogen responsible for foot rot in ungulates. A mineral site that gets heavy hoof traffic accumulates organic matter and moisture that creates ideal conditions for this bacterium. Adding borax to the mineral mix creates a mildly antiseptic soil surface that reduces pathogen load without affecting the mineral attractiveness of the site. Look, I am going to be straight with you. Everything I am walking through in this video is just a small piece of what is inside the Buck Hunter's Bible, 2026 edition. 280 pages, 101 field-tested tricks, and right now you also get the 30-day opening day roadmap free with it. A 60-page day-by-day plan that gets you ready before the season even starts. I do not know how long that bonus stays in the deal. But if you have been watching these videos and thinking this could be my season, that is the move. Link in the description below, QR code on screen, make this the year. Number 11, the UV reflectance effect. Research from the University of Georgia's Deer Lab documented that whitetails perceive ultraviolet light at wavelengths below 400 nanometers that are invisible to the human eye. Plants treated with borax alter their foliar UV reflectance signature because the boron changes the concentration of flavonoid compounds in the leaf surface, which are the primary UV-absorbing pigments in plant tissue. Treated leaves reflect UV light differently than untreated leaves, creating a visual contrast that deer can detect during dawn and dusk when UV light is proportionally higher in the spectrum. I cannot prove the deer are responding to the visual difference rather than the taste difference, and it may be both. But the UV research is documented, and the behavioral observation that deer approach treated browse from directions that suggest visual detection before tongue contact supports the hypothesis. Number 12, the boot deodorizer. Sprinkle 2 tablespoons of borax inside each rubber hunting boot after every hunt. The borax absorbs moisture from foot sweat and raises the pH inside the boot to a level that inhibits the bacteria responsible for foot odor, primarily Brevibacterium and Staphylococcus epidermidis. These bacteria produce volatile sulfur compounds, specifically methanethiol, that permeate rubber over time and deposit on every surface your boot contacts during entry to the stand. A boot that smells clean on the outside but reeks of foot bacteria on the inside is leaking scent through the rubber with every step. The borax stops the bacteria. No bacteria, no methanethiol, no scent leak. Number 13, the mushroom booster. Boron in the soil stimulates the growth of mycorrhizal fungi, which are the symbiotic fungi that form networks on plant roots and facilitate nutrient exchange between the soil and the plant. Certain fruiting fungi, particularly chanterelles and hen of the woods that deer actively seek and consume, respond to boron-enriched soil with increased fruiting body production. A retired entomologist who hunts public land in South Georgia told me he has been treating 3-by-3-foot patches of forest floor with borax for 6 years, and the treated patches produce roughly twice the mushroom density of untreated patches in the same timber type. The deer discovered those patches within the first season and returned to them annually. His QAD rest on his Savage 110 gets drawn at roughly 22 yards from a mushroom patch that cost him 20 cents to create. Number 14, the forbidden molasses paste. This is the one I promised at the beginning. Mix 2 tablespoons of borax with a 1/4 cup of blackstrap molasses and press the paste into cracks on a stump or rough bark tree at nose height, roughly 30 to 36 inches off the ground, about waist height. The molasses provides immediate sugar and scent attraction. The borax provides boron micronutrient that the deer's body craves for connective tissue synthesis and calcium metabolism. The paste consistency means rain does not wash it away the way dry powder or liquid applications disappear in the first storm. A guide in N, Tennessee, who runs archery hunts in the mountain hollows along the North Carolina border, described this paste as the most effective pre-rut caloric attractant he has used in 18 years of guiding because it combines immediate scent draw with sustained mineral delivery in a rain-resistant format. His client kill rate within 30 yards of borax molasses stumps is roughly 40% higher than his standard mineral-only sites. His words, not mine, and one guide's data across 18 seasons is anecdotal, not proof. But 18 seasons is a long time to keep using something that does not work. Number 15, the waterhole clarifier. Add 1 tablespoon of borax to a small stagnant water source, roughly 5 to 10 gallons, about the size of a large bucket or a shallow puddle. The borate ions cause suspended clay particles to flocculate, which means they clump together and settle to the bottom, clearing the water. Deer prefer clear water over turbid water because turbidity reduces their ability to see the bottom, which triggers a predator avoidance response. A cleared water source near your stand becomes the preferred drinking spot in the immediate area. Same oak tannin principle from the Grandfather Secrets to video fit mechanism, same result. Number 16, the licking branch activator. Rub a pinch of dry borax powder onto the bark of a licking branch, which is the overhanging branch above a scrape that bucks rub with their forehead and preorbital glands to deposit scent. The borax inhibits the bacterial breakdown of accumulated saliva and gland secretions on the branch surface. Without treatment, the biological material on a heavily used licking branch decomposes within 7-10 days, and the branch loses its scent identity, which reduces return visits. With borax treatment, the branch maintains its accumulated scent profile for 3 to 4 weeks, which means the deer returning to check the scrape find a stronger, older, more established scent signature than they would on an untreated branch. More established scent means higher perceived territorial activity, which means more aggressive buck response during pre-rut. I tested this on paired mock scrapes with identical licking branches on a property in South Georgia, sandy coastal plain with longleaf pine and wiregrass understory. The borax-treated licking branch received 19 buck visits in 4 weeks. The untreated branch received 8 buck visits in the same period. Same scrape construction, same location type, same distance from bedding. The borax-treated branch held its scent longer and drew more repeat visits. Number 17. And this is the one the commercial mineral companies hope you never figure out. Flip over any $25 to $30 bag of mineral attractant that lists boron as an ingredient on the guarantee analysis and compare the boron content per pound to the boron content per pound in a $4 box of 20 Mule Team Borax. The commercial product contains roughly 0.1 to 0.5% boron by weight. The borax box contains roughly 11% boron by weight. The commercial product is borax diluted with salt, flavoring, and coloring at a markup of roughly 2,000%. 2,000%. You are paying $30 for a camo-printed bag that contains roughly 50 cents worth of borax mixed with $1 worth of salt and $2 worth of artificial apple flavor. The remaining 26.50 is the picture of the buck on the front. My Flexstone grunt tube cost less than the markup on a single bag of commercial mineral that is mostly borax and salt. 1 box of 20 Mule Team Borax, 17 applications, $4. And now you know what the Pro Shop shelf has been charging you $30 to deliver in a fancier package. The borax was always the active ingredient. They just never put it on the front of the bag. The guys who know this do not advertise it. They just use it. And their mineral budgets are 90% smaller than everyone else at deer camp. A $4 box and a notebook. That is the entire program. 17 uses, 1 box. The same compound your grandmother used to brighten her whites is the same compound that cleans your boots, preserves your crepe, freshens your corn, clears your water, boosts your browse, and creates mineral sites that outperform commercial products at a fraction of the cost. Your grandfather's generation did not have camo-printed mineral bags with pictures of 200-inch bucks on the front. They had borax, salt, and the common sense to read a label. The label has not changed. The chemistry has not changed. The deer have not changed. The only thing that changed is who is profiting from the solution. And it is not the guy selling you the $4 box. I did the math on what I spent on commercial mineral products before I discovered borax. 12 years of commercial blocks, commercial scent sprays, commercial boot treatments, and commercial laundry detergents marketed to hunters. The total was $4,308. Since switching to borax-based alternatives for 11 of those 17 applications, my annual hunting consumables budget dropped from roughly $365 per year to roughly $40 per year. That is $325 per year in savings. Over 10 years of that is $3,000. My Savage 110 cost less than the money I was spending on products that borax replaces. And my camera data improved after the switch, which means I was paying more for worse results. That math changed how I shop for hunting products permanently.